Westerado Double Barrel is your classic Western tale, from the plotline down to the music. What would any great Western be without guns? Just like any great game, Westerado encourages the player to use their gun any way possible. Whether it be to mow down anyone you disagree with, or if you need information from somebody, like what their brains look like scattered against the floor. So what if we ignored the suggestion of murdering people? Bringing us to the topic of today's challenge. Can you beat Westerado Double Barrel without killing anyone? Just to establish ground rules, I can use the gun in any way I see fit. For example, to shoot open locks or to interrogate people for new information. But in no way, shape, or form am I allowed to kill anybody with my gun, as killing is genuinely frowned upon. I deleted my original save file like a dumbass and started a new game over it, forgetting there were 2 other slots to choose from. The actual game started and I hopped out of bed to go talk to this woman who I assumed was my mother. My only guess is because her name was Mom. Mother told me to stop being a lazy ass and help my brother herd buffalo. She gave me $20, which was mighty kind of her. I left the house to talk to my brother who was shooting into the horizon like some kind of loon. On my way back to getting to work, I got stuck on this fence post somehow. I then ran at the buffalo until they got into the pen like the waste of space they were. Spent a little too long trying to herd this bastard back into the pen, but I eventually did so. And then this other buffalo escaped and it was just a whole mess, so I had to chase him away, but as I chased him, the rest of my buffalo just kind of escaped. I should probably get back to the main point. I chased the buffalo for some time. Like, no really, by the time my character achieved the buffalo and got back to the ranch, it was nighttime. Oh, the ranch was also on fire and my family was slaughtered. Well, my brother was kind of alive, I guess. He told me some dude wearing a hat committed the heinous act in question. He then asked me to do the hardest thing I've ever had to do. He wanted me to put him out of his misery, like he was a dog or an injured racehorse. I kept telling him not to give up hope, but I don't think he had any left in him. I walked away. I'm not gonna finish the job some petty killer couldn't finish himself. I ended up in my uncle's house and spent the night. Once I woke up, I spoke to him and he informed me he had to check on the family ranch. Turns out, Uncle let brother tend to the rabbits. He sent me to Clintville or somewhere to see if I could find anyone who knew anything about the murder of my family. I started by talking to the banker. He instantly gave me a job. I guess resumes weren't invented yet. I then walked into a saloon and talked to the owner. Didn't really learn anything useful. Found a drunk guy sitting alone at a table. Told me things equally as useful as the saloon owner, despite not knowing a damn thing about poker I started playing. Ended up playing 2 games and lost all my money like a damn fool. Begged to play another game because I felt I got the hang of it. I got denied my right to play, so I threatened to blow his brains out. He found it scary but still wouldn't let me play. I left the saloon trailing in shame. I met a lady who needed help getting her drunk fuck-knuckle husband back home. She said he was stuck at the saloon. I ran back into the bar and peacefully talked the husband to come with me with no need for threats whatsoever. After reuniting the beloved couple, the woman directed me to the sheriff's office down yonder. The sheriff basically told me he couldn't help me, proving he was fucking useless. He tried cutting me a deal that I had no interest in, but gave me more information about my target. Turns out his hat was wide. Like, that's useful. Due to the fact that the sheriff was useless, I decided to leave his office. I then found a woman claiming to be the sheriff's wife. She ended up complaining how he did a lackluster job of being a real man. After my unfortunate experience with the sheriff, I started my secondary plan of revenge. If he wouldn't help me track down the man who murdered my family, it was only fair that I seduce his wife and ruin his marriage. The woman told me to meet her at the saloon, so I did. I may or may not have made banging the sheriff's wife my top priority. I met a woman who gave me a quest to clear the bandits up the road so she can pay her respects to her father. I, a good Samaritan, decided to keep my nose out of her business. I got on my horse and headed to Rancher Bob's ranch. I spoke again with the woman. She told me to meet her somewhere else. I then interacted with Rancher Bob. He claimed to know not a damn thing. However, he did offer me another buffalo-related quest. And considering how great my last experience was with buffaloes, I said yes. We rode along this looping path with 8 buffalo to our name, with one goal to reach the other side. Some bandits threatened to unalive us and take our buffalo. Rancher Bob told me then it's now time to prove my worth and shoot the bandits myself. I did the opposite of that and distanced myself from the bandits as Robert Bob slowly picked them off one by one. We ended our quest with 3 living buffalo remaining. He gave me something called the Buffalo's Profit, which I can only assume is a euphemism of some sorts. $300 for 3 buffaloes remaining. Rancher Bob revealed that he was withholding information from me. That made me very upsetty spaghetti. The man who burned down my house was a very skinny, well-dressed man that wore his shirt the same color as his skin. I don't know why Rancher Bob brought race into it. Made me kind of uncomfortable. I assume he's a racist? Probably. Rancher Bob then claimed my family's killer was probably the oil man. He then left back to the farm without giving me a goodbye hug. Not gonna lie, that shit hurted. I then walked my way to the oil tycoon's house and barged in. Talked to a guard or 2 and eventually met the boss himself. But I saw Miss Tress, and since I'm a man with my priorities in check, I talked to her instead. She told me our love could never work if I was always out looking for revenge. However, she invited me to her house for some friendly hat making. I walked over to Mr. Oil Tycoon himself, and he offered me a job I really didn't understand. So I left back and headed to Clintville for no reason. I ended up accidentally stumbling upon Miss Tress. She invited me inside, and me being the spiteful gentleman I am, I fucked the sheriff's wife. She told me to bring her $1,500 back so we can buy a house together. Not really something I really wanted to do, but I knew if I had time I'd scrape up the money. I then moved on to Santa Ana and walked into the express store. I was offered another job I knew nothing about and obviously took it. I was told we could only lose 4 packages at max, and immediately after, some asshole came and stole a package. I learned that I can keep the bandits at bay by running my horse into the edge of the screen, and they'd permanently be a set distance away. This, however, did nothing. I was stuck here for a good 5 minutes doing absolutely nothing. I then came to the understanding that I could not progress unless I shot him off his horse. So I pulled the John Marston, allowed myself to get shot to death to preserve this challenge. Someone found me bleeding out and brought me back to safety. Whoever they were helped them to have my cash. I met up with some bandits and told them the banker had a job for him. They agreed. I made the mistake of talking to another one, apparently pissed him off. I decided it was time to hit the road and see Rancher Bob again. Bob told me I should recruit all the local ranchers so we could kill the oil tycoon. The ultimate vendetta against capitalism, I assume. I recruited all 3 ranchers and made my way back to the ranch. I spoke to Rancher Bob and he asked me to lead the attack. Made it over to the oil tycoon's house and marched straight in. Like all great leaders of a cowboy posse, I let my men do all the work. They were super effective at getting the job done. They killed like 3 guards before Rancher Bob got shot. We fled to safety, or I assume they did. They disappeared. I was kinda stuck there. I rode back to the ranch to find the Richards family dead. Mr. Richard was on his last legs. He claimed it was the same man who probably killed my family. He gave me a full description of the culprit. I think he asked me to end his suffering so he could hold his family once more in heaven, but I left because there's always bigger fish to fry. Got a view of my culprit and set out to look for him. I found the villain next to Santa Ana Station. I talked to him. He wasn't exactly friendly, and he shot me in the noggin, killing me instantly. I went back this time but with hats. This time it was different. He shot off my hat and ran. I chased him with my horse and ended up at his hideout. I accidentally got stung by a scorpion and died. I got the bright idea wondering if I could stop my enemies without killing them. Then I remembered in this game there were bolas. With this item I could theoretically stop my enemies from moving so I can progress through the game without killing anybody. Turns out they were $250 and I only had 90. You do the math. Since my main character's goal was murder, I didn't think theft was that big of a deal. So I stole him. Rode back to the hideout and figured out the hardest puzzle I ever had to do. Flip this lever, walk through the door, flip that lever, walk through that door, and walked up this path. Turns out it was an ambush. I used one of my trusty bolas to stop one of the henchmen. They did absolutely nothing. I was stuck. I honestly didn't even know if this challenge was possible without killing anybody. Stuck and determined, I knew I only had one choice. Run in circles until something happens, and by God's grace, a miracle happened. They shot one of their own men dead. I continued this practice until there was only one left. I threw my trusty bolas at him, and nothing happened. Even with this man tied up, the door remained shut. The only way on the other side of the door was to kill the man in front of me. Due to my desire to beat this game, I had to throw the run. With no other way across that door, I shot him and took his cash. I walked up and found 3 similar looking men. I made the dumb mistake of choosing the wrong door and getting stuck with a man who wasn't the real murderer. I got killed. I was sent to the beginning of the mission and had to do it all over again. With the challenge being failed, I decided to lift my no-gun rule and kill anybody who made the poor choice of being alive. I took all the cash that was there and pushed forward. Now at the same impasse I was at before, I took note of their bandanas and chose the one on the left. He matched the description of my family's murderer perfectly. I ran into the cave and was ambushed once again. I murdered the remaining goons in cold, pixelated blood. I stole their cash and left through the secret exit behind the bookshelf, got on my horse and chased my murderer. I died quite a bit. More like a lot. This was harder than I anticipated, but that was probably due to the fact I'm fucking stupid. I finished the horse race and walked through a dark corridor. I tracked him down for the last time and shot off his hat 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And with the big iron on my hip, one last shot entered Texas Red's body, injuring him, putting him down for the count. I pulled my gun out for the last time and demanded to know why he killed my brother. He told me my brother was messing around with his girl, and I asked him who could possibly bet a bastard like him. Turns out it was this sheriff's wife. The murderer claimed this was all for my benefit, and for some reason I did not blow his brains out. With that being said, I did not beat Westerado double barrel without killing anybody.